wanders through the Lake District, bagging Wainwrights and outlying fells. With his trusty IBs, a cap, and rugged good looks, his name is Dave Ostor, the Mountain Man. He wanders through the Lake District, bagging Wainwrights and outlying fells. With his trusty IBs, a cap, and rugged good looks, his name is Dave Ostor, the Mountain Man.
Okay, welcome back to the channel, and today we're just parked up in Grasmere to do a few Wainwrights around two. Of note, Silver How, Lee Rig and Sergeant Man. There's a big bunch of Burketts on this loop that I do need, so I can't name them all, there's that many, so we'll address them as we get to them there. But yeah, Saturday morning, it's supposed to be a belter of a day. I'm off this week, and yeah, I think this looks, my first day off here is looking like the best that I'm gonna get, so thought I'd get out. £9.70 for the parking there for 10 hours. You can park free just outside Grasmere, but I'm lazy and I always take the closest option. But anyway, we're just heading up the track, and we'll branch off right up here to our first Wainwright of the day of Silver How. And that's looking over Grasmere water itself, and the fells we were last time over on the Fairfield Horseshoe and Stone Arthur, Nabscar. That's it, just a short while up the track. Absolute roaster of a start. It's only gone 7 AM. The jacket's come off already. This path will take you back round into Grasmere, nice low level walk just around the outskirts of the lake here. But here it's well marked, so you can see it clearly up through the bracken here. And this is Silver How just on the left. So yeah, it does turn into a bit of a pitched path a third of the way up. Makes life very comfortable and much more pleasant. That's looking back over Loughrig there. We can now see Windermere just poking out into the distance there. But yeah, it's a brief but brutal climb up here to Silver How. For another occasion, I do like that point over there. Quite sure it's not a Singe or a Burkett, so that might well be a new hostel. That's for a different video. Right, so that's just about section 1A. Get up to the col, but I'm just going to pull off the path here just to the right before ascending Silver How, just to let these people past me who are walking behind. Nothing worse than people walking behind you. It's not their fault, but a little voice in my brain comes in and says, you know, they think you're a fat piece of shit, and they're probably right. But I don't need you to give me that while I'm trying to concentrate there. And here we are. It opens up quite magnificently here. You can see the route we're going now. Look at the colours today. Decent cloud coverage above, so it's keeping it all in focus. You can see the depth to it. But Silver How is just up here. We're just over 1100 feet now, so not too much more to go. But like I say, I'm just going to have a chill here and admire this as we can see over to the Langdales. But yeah, the furthest point we're going is Sergeant Man just on the horizon there before skirting back. I might do Tarn Crag as well just to get that boxed off. Here we are, just a little further up. There's a cairn here marking the path up to Silver How. Multiple paths in this area. There's all sorts of places you could go and explore if you didn't fancy bagging hills. Right, here we are on the first fell top of the day, the Wainwright summit of Silver How. It's a wonderful shot down onto Grasmere, Rydal in the distance there, and like I say, fells we did last time. But now then, we're heading this way, up to the skyline really, of Sergeant Man, the big bulb you can see. You can see Pavey Ark over here and Harrison Stickle, all the pikes really. But along this path here, before we get to Sergeant Man, there are about 6 or 7 Burketts and Singes. The next being Langhow and Squine Scar Pike. Now that one, that big crag there looks distinct, so I'm not sure which one that is. I've got the GPX downloaded like I always keep saying, so I'm just going to follow that. It'll take me where I've marked the summit, but yeah, I think that one's next. What else can we see from here? So yeah, we're looking over to Helm Crag here. Nice shot of it from this side. You don't see very often, as you normally see it from the road, I suppose. Along the ridge there to Calf Crag. This is Tarn Crag over here. The fell will be coming back down on later, and I'll drop down to Coaldale Tarn because I've never visited that tarn before. So yeah, I'm just picking up bits and pieces where I've never been. Yeah, it's a very confusing ridge this. It's good path, so I don't think you can get lost, but if you are picking up summits, it's a bit of a head scratcher. 7:30 on a Saturday morning. I still sometimes have to pinch myself that I'm really doing this. It wasn't too long ago that 7:30 on a Saturday morning was getting in from the night before, or finishing up a late night gaming session with the lads. But just shows how you get a bit wiser, I suppose. When you get older, you realise that's just all a waste of time, really. Not better than being out here before everybody gets here. You've got it pretty much to yourself, even on a summer Saturday morning. It's wonderful. Listen to that again though. Absolutely knee wind. It's very comfortable up here once you get up Silver How. Just like little gradual ups and downs, ups and downs. It doesn't really get tiring because the paths are so good and they're all very gradual. Yeah, I'm going to assume this must be Langhow, the next Burkett. Okay, so we've just reached this cairn here. Tarn. But anyway, Langhow is just up here. And there doesn't seem to be much of a path up there, so it looks like you're just going to have to go straight for it. It does look a little bit scrambly and there are loose rocks, but it's not too far to the summit up there, so if I'm careful I think you should be able to get there. Knee bother. Can see footprints here, so it looks like people do come up this way. Just a little up that shaly path. The path does come back again. It's grooved in just here. That should take us to the summit. So we've just came up from the tarn down there, and here we are on top of that crag I was pointing at just earlier. It's not actually the summit of Langhow. There is a cairn just over here, but I think it's going to have to go some to top this view. We're back at about the same height of Silver How now. We can see back into Grasmere just there. A little bit hazy in the east. There is forecast for rain and I can feel a few spots now. Here we are at the second fell of the day and the Burkett summit of Langhow. I think that's the best feature, that crag there, so unsure why there's a cairn here, but anyway, yeah, I've still got wonderful views. You can see more up into Easedale now. But anyway, the next one's fairly easy as well. And there is a cairn on it of Swine Scar Pike, so it's just over there. That's the next one. But then it gets a little more complicated. And I'll explain that when we get there. That's it, that's just down from Lang How, just over here. And we're back on the good path system now at the bottom, just skirting around this crag, and Swinescar Pike should come into view. There it is, just not very far at all between the two there. Very comfortable. I've definitely done this one before. In fact, I think I've done all these before, apart from that first one. Because the first time I was here, I was looking for Blee Rig. I didn't have quite as an advanced OS maps system plotted on my watch at the time, so I was just guessing. Here we are on our third fell of the day, and if I remember correctly, oh yes, I do remember correctly, it's got a wonderful view. Right up Langdale there, over to Lingmoor Fell and Side Pike, Pike of Blisco. Crinkles in the Clag, that wasn't forecast. Had excellent visibility all through the lakes today. So anyway, yeah, I'm glad I haven't gone up to them big fells. But yeah, it gets a bit more complex from here. That's looking back towards Lang How. But anyway, this is our direction now. Making progress towards Sergeant Man. Now then, there's a couple of singes here and another burkett. And it's called Little Castle How, Castle How and Great Castle How. Can you see three summits along there? I'm pretty sure I've done all these before. Like I say, I was looking for Blee Rig when I did them, but I didn't know there were singes and burketts at the time. However, I like this fell so much, I can't let this one pass by without a bit of a toast to it. So, Swinescar Pike, little beauty, Langdale. Whoa, so spoiled. Look at this, man. Why does it have to be so complicated? I like to be able to identify the summits. Little Castle How. Oh, I'm squinting, I can't. They all look about the same height to me. But anyway, like I say, that's taken me to it. But I like to be able to go, oh, that's the one, before I get there, but I honestly can't here. It'll be good next time I come, because then I'll know. But now I'm just a bit green. So yeah, like I say, it should be Little Castle How next. And as it's a singe, I'm relying on you, Mr. Tim Singe, to have a cairn on it for me. Just so I can find it. You've only failed me once in the past. That was on Drygill Head, where there was no cairn. A cairn. You certainly wouldn't go to these by accident. You gotta know what you're looking for to pick up these singe fells, most of them. But here we are on the cairn. I'm going to assume that's Little Castle How. So boom, we're having it. However, that's higher there. And here we are on not so Little Castle How. I don't know what that cairn is, Tim. Do you want us to shift it up here for you? Aye, confusing folk. Anyway, that's where we came from. Hard to identify them. Swinescar Pike and Lang How, but we can see Silver How right on end. Right, where are we going now? It's fairly obvious now. I guess this must be Castle How. And Great Castle How, I think, is over here. This one's also known as Raw Pike. That's it, we're just down Little Castle How now. They're behind us, and we're going over to Castle How Raw Pike. Need much of a path there, but just go straight for it. Just careful if you're going straight for it, because that's bloody boggy there. But anyway, need path, but let's just go for it. We can climb hills with our fitness. Having said that, this is effing vertical, so it might be best finding a path round the back or something. Bloody hell, that wasn't pleasant. But here we are on Castle How Raw Pike. Oh, cairn, beautiful. Oh, and this one is a burkett as well as a singe, but I rank things Wainwright, burkett, singe. That's how I list my fells. But anyway, that's looking back at Little Castle How, the singe. You can tell the singes because they're a little bit more insane than the burketts. no one would think to go there. But anyway, Great Castle How looks rather obvious from here now, and that's a good sign. It just must be this clump of rock just up here, very distinctive. So we're going to quickly nip over there, pick up that one, which is another singe, before we head over to Bleerig. And it should be fairly straightforward from there. That's the difficult identifying done, really. And Sergeant Man's getting ever closer now. You could spend a day alone just exploring this single fell of Castle How. Like I say, 3 summits that are listed, but there's all sorts of different end points and viewing points before we descend onto Bleerig. It's just a wonderful little ridge, this, and I assume it's popular just due to the quality of the paths and how well worn they are, but yeah, it's wonderful. Just looking at my watch there, I haven't actually plotted over to this one, Great Castle How, but it's so distinct and obvious, and the contour lines are so wide in this area, you can just make your own way, if you can see it, of course. If I was in the Clag, I would have missed this one because I didn't plot to it. It's funny because you cross over the main path, which is going to Bleerig, you can see these faint ones coming off, all the other singe bagging fools. Not many of them. Interesting little landscape for this area, as it's very rocky and there ain't much of that really that's exposed. I guess it's just up here. Here we are. Can't remember how many fells now, but here's another singe of Great Castle How. And I have done this one before because I thought this was Bleerig. That's looking back at Raw Pike and Little Castle How down there, so I hope I've cleared it up. Oh yes, we can see Easedale Tarn now. We'll be descending via that later. Wow. Oh. Tony, wild campers, 9 o'clock in the morning. Vermin. Should be gone, eh? Yeah. Right, that's us down from the Castle How fells, the 3 summits just up there, and we're on the main track now, all the way up to Bleerig. Right, so here we are on the second Wainwright of the day, Bleerig or Blee Crag, represented by this cairn just here. Not much of a view of the Tarn, you can't quite see it, but I think there is a slightly higher point just over there. That's where I've plotted on the old GPX, but you gotta love a cairn, don't you? Anyway, we're now heading along the ridge towards Sergeant Man, passing the mighty Paviarch, so we'll get a good look down onto Jack's Rake that we did recently. And there is a sneaky little singe down here called Bell's Knot, just above Easedale Tarn there. I've plotted to it, but I don't think my legs are going to forgive me for going down there and all the way back up. So right, so we've just made a bit of progress along towards Sergeant's Man now, just up here. We can now look down onto Cordale Tarn. Here's the singe. It's just a little too far for me to be bothered with that. I thought I'd give it another look just to see what it's like. But anyway, still skirting the edge of the ridge here, and we're close to Sergeant Man now. What this little outcrop is, but I bet, oh yeah, aye, that's got a cracking view right down Stickle Tarn there and the 2 Langdales. Cracking view up Jack's Rake here. And that path is absolutely flooded with people, bus loads. Oh, must be all the 9 AM start traffic. You can avoid all that if you just start at like 7 AM, even in the summer holidays like today. I've barely seen anybody today. One person is going ahead of me now, surprise, surprise. But I guess some people don't mind that. Safety in numbers and all that, plenty of people around. But yeah, that looks like an absolute nightmare for me. And that reminds me, I was watching, I think, Wandering Ware's video. Great car camping channel. He's mad. Big channel. He went to Grasmere for a walk think it was a week or two back now, and during the heat wave, and as he was walking back into Grasmere from his walk, there was gridlock, absolute gridlock, up narrow roads. And like, I couldn't think of anything worse. I hate driving them roads when there's no other cars on the road. So just think ahead, you know. Hot day, Grasmere, Saturday afternoon, that is probably going to be busy. I always plan that now. What day am I going on? I'm on Saturday today, so I thought, bloody hell, I need to get here early. And I did. Need trouble getting to Grasmere, roads are all mine. Parking, pick my spot, you know. Need trouble. So yeah, you just need a little bit of foresight. And it does come. I think I've always known that, to be fair. I know the mountains are popular on weekends, and I've kind of always avoided that, but even on weekends, just get here early, you know. It's daylight from 5 AM. Or if you really want to beat the weekend crowds and the summer rush, go and do some outlying Wainwrights. Those parking spots will be barren, even in the middle of summer. So I would just use some foresight. I think people have FOMO, you know, fear of missing out. They all think at the same time, oh, we're all off on the weekend, Lake District's nice, oh, let's all go there must be something happening. It'll be fun seeing all the other people about, which I guess some people like, but it's built up of small villages, you know. So just have a bit of a think. Have a look at the roads on Google Maps. That's what I do anyway. And look how narrow some of them are, and then think, can 100 cars get down there at midday? Probably not, or it's going to be very difficult. But anyway, that's rant over. So long bloody pull up there. But here we are, Sergeant Man. I was just thinking there, this has probably got to be one of the most long mileage intense fells that there is. I mean, I think I've been about 6 miles, but I've done a few out and backs there. So you've got to walk at least 5 miles, I would say, just to pick this fell up. Pretty much from any direction you would want to do it. So that's got me thinking, I wonder what is the Wainwright that requires the most distance walking just to pick up, you know. I bet this is a contender for one of them. It's easy, it's just there's a lot of ground to cover to get to it. Short, sharp shock of a pull-up. Oh, we're just about there. Oh, thank God. Right, and here we are on the third Wainwright top of the day. Sergeant Man. Oh, brutal. But we're here. Looks like the cairn's been demolished, but anyway, boom, we'll take it. Oh, let's reach back down to Silver House. That's 6 mile away, thereabouts. But I could see up here to High Raise, which I've already done 3 times, so I didn't need to stress myself going back up there. But the penultimate fell of the day now is this Burkett adjacent to us, which is Coaldale Head, before we drop down to Tarn Crag and back home via Easedale Tarn. But first, tea time. Well, I've looked and I've tried, but there's nowhere to put your ass on this fell. Knee arse shaped rocks on Sergeant Man. Not a very comfortable one to sit on. Oh, well, it's a lot different from when I was last here. I couldn't stand up on top of this fell. It is quite a slippy little bugger up here, so you've got to be very careful. But yeah, it's lovely. Nice to revisit this one and see it properly, you know. Can't be shot over to the Langdales there and right down to Windermere and Coniston Fells, which are in the Clag. They've been in the Clag for a week now, I would say. But anyway, I'm just going to finish my brew here and we'll head on to Coaldale Head. It's that bloody wet type of rain and all. They want it wet to you right quick and it's freezing and all. Jesus Christ. Didn't think I need a rain jacket today. I knew it would rain, but I thought it'd be fairly warm still, but bloody hell, it's nippy. Okay, here we are on the penultimate fell of the day, the Burkett of Coaldale Head. Do have a decent cairn, in fact it's a wind shelter or a toilet. Anyway, that's looking back at Sergeant Man. I must have done this one before. Path goes straight over it. Don't remember much about it. But anyway, yeah, I'm just going to follow the path back down now. Okay, so we're just down Coaldale Head there, and I don't remember it being tremendous fun coming down this way last time. Can't remember a lot of it, but I remember it was very bloody steep. Oh, it's alright. It's just a bit eroded in places, and because it's on a grassy bank, it is quite slippy, particularly in the wet as it is today. But we can see the final fell of the day now, Tarn Crag, the Wainwright summit. Quite a menacing looking hill, that Coaldale Head. There is just one sort of safe-ish route down. You always look back like onto them fells and go, how did I get down there? And here we are, just off the summit of Tarn Crag. Final Wainwright and fell of the day. You can see up to Coaldale Tarn. And this is the best view of Blee Rig. It's better than actually being on it. The best thing about Blee Rig is looking at Blee Rig. Just a giant crag just here. This is the loop we've done today, all the way around. You can't quite see Sergeant Man and round the head there. So yeah, we're going to try and find a path down to the Tarn now, which I've never used. I've normally went off the end here, but that is quite brutal and very slippy, so I don't advise it. But I can see it down here. I must just have to retrace myself a little bit, and that'll take us down to the Tarn. In fact, no, it's not the last fell of the day, because I've just looked over here and I can see Bell's Knot, and it's not far away from here really. So I'm going to go and pick up that singe while I'm here. I've still got the energy. So we're just down Tarn Crag there, and I wouldn't recommend doing this. I mean, my GPX has actually died on my watch there, so I don't have any path to follow, but I can see it, and I am going to use my experience just to walk off piste and contour my way to that particular fell. I know my way back from there, but I think it's probably the best way to get it actually, because I'm kind of dropping down onto Bell's Knot, whereas the route I plotted, I would have had to go down an awful long way back up. So yeah, this will at least complete the area, I suppose, for not too much more effort. I know it's difficult for women to go to the toilet on fells, but if you are gonna choose a location, have a check around, make sure there's no mad folk running off piste bagging singes that might come across you. Jesus, I could give it a fright of a life. Little obstacle. Oh, that looks pleasant. Right, here we are on the final fell of the day. Nothing like a singe to end on. Can we balance on the summit? Oh, dodgily, but yes, here we are on Bell's Knot. Jesus, get me down. That's better. I'll sit on it instead. Right, yes, that's the whole area complete, thankfully, and it's killed two birds with one stone. We've got to see Coaldale Tarn fairly close now. So anyway, I can see the good path here, and that's just going to snake us back past Easedale Tarn, back into Grasmere. Need cairn up here, Tim, but I'll let you off with this one, because that's quite a nice summit podium, and there's a cracking wild camp pitch just there. Nice and secluded out of the wind. Here we are, there's a nice vantage point off the back of the fell to have a sit and chill by Coaldale Tarn there. But anyway, our path's just down here. Right, that's us back to the good main track now. Look at Bell's Knot from here, that's an absolute cracker of a fell. Wow. Can't believe it's not a bucket. But anyway, let's get down here. Bloody hell, just be careful if you are doing this route. That's not easy to come down that. Been on my arse most of the time. The safest spot I feel on the buttocks here. Good lord. Luckily it turns into a pitched path here, but oh, that's a bit sketchy. Oh, look at Bell's Knot. It's a perfect point little section there has entirely convinced me to do the walk anti-clockwise. You know, come up this way and then head over to Tarn Crag, then up. There's two tricky paths down from Cordale Head and here. You don't want to be really coming down that. That's not very pleasant at all. But anyway, I don't think you'd have trouble descending Silver How on the other side, or not as much trouble anyway. So I do it anti-clockwise if you want it easier. Right, that's just more or less down at Easedale Tarn now, and I thought I'd better wrap up the adventure from here. This has been the Easedale 11, I'm going to call it. If you do that walk, you don't need to come back to Easedale ever again, because that picks up all the Wainwrights, Burketts and Singe fells you may want. But anyway, if I'm not arrested for catching women peeing on the fells, I'll be back next time. So I just wanted to say thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you back out in the fells very, very soon. Peace.